was uncharted territory for me. I don't usually work with other people in terms of other producers when I'm working, especially someone that I didn't even know. And so I was a little bit nervous about it. I didn't really know what to expect. And so it felt like a bit of a risk to me. But when Josh and I got together with Sara and we talked about which songs we thought should go on the record, we agreed on absolutely every single one of them. I thought, well, we're off to a good start here. So yeah, it was great. It was a really great thing to work with Josh on the album. I think that we both brought the best out of each other, and I think that I don't know. I found it a very interesting experience. I think when you're collaborating with somebody else, you've almost got to put the ego aside and purely focus on what's best for the song and what's best for the record. And there were a lot of times where I'd come into the sessions with a definite idea of how a song or a sound should go, and we'd do it, and Josh would sometimes say, no, I don't like it, that's not working, and I sort of was forced to kind of sit back and listen to it, and 99% of the time I went, actually, yeah, you're right, it's not good. Or we'd both do that to each other, and it was a really healthy process, and I think as a result it's a better record.
I guess Sara, with this record, it's going to be a lot more accessible, I think, and probably largely as a result of a lot of Matt's ideas. He's got a really great pop sensibility, and I think hopefully the record will cross over to that kind of market. So Matt was really invaluable in bringing that aspect to the record, whereas my role was probably more just keeping hold of that roots base that Sara really has. She's really strong with that, so it was important to keep a good balance between those two things.
I think it was really good having three opinions on a song, and everyone was great. Everyone, let everyone have their say, and then we'd have a vote if we were a bit undecided. And it was really hard for me to vote when, I had to go with Matt or I go with Josh. So I go, oh, how am I going to get myself out of this without getting myself into deep water? So I think, all right, what's my favourite colour? Pink. Who's wearing pink today? Josh is wearing pink. I think Josh. I'll go with Josh today.
Sara is a country artist, and there's very strong elements of country music through what she does. She sings about characters, she writes narratives within her songs. The songs are quite simple and honest, but I didn't really want the record to sound like it had a 10-gallon hat on and a piece of straw between its teeth. I didn't want it to sound too overtly traditional country. I wanted to have it sound modern and contemporary, something that people who perhaps wouldn't call themselves a country music fan might warm to.
I think artists are always grow and develop. The more you write, the more you tour and perform, and just the more life experience you have. I think there's always a growth and a development, and you can really hear that in Sara's new material. She's probably moved on a bit on this record from, I guess, being synonymous with that very rural subject matter and the very, I guess, a very Australian kind of thing. A lot of the song, the subject matter is probably a bit more universal, a bit more based on relationships or observations of life on a broader level. So yeah, I think it's probably, I guess there's an added sense of maturity maybe with this new collection of songs. She's certainly moving into different territory than she has in the past.
I tell you, it's so good to work with and I think I could probably speak for everyone that's worked on the record. When you work with a really great singer, everyone lifts. When you're playing an instrument and you're hearing a great singer, you lift as a musician. When you're working as an engineer or a producer and you hear a singer get on the microphone and they just sing really well, everyone lifts. It's something that you don't hear very often. often vocals are left shoved right down towards the end of the record because they're very hard to do, and it's extremely important. You know, the vocal is the track that everyone makes direct contact with. First contact with a song is to listen to the vocal. So, you know, it's the most important element in a song. And so it's, you know, something that really freaks a lot of artists out is, oh, we've got to do the vocals now. And, you know, often there's any excuse given to leave the vocals right to the very end. One of the songs, so we ended up using the guide vocal track. And I remember tracking it at the time, just thinking this girl's got an incredible voice. And she was singing really great, and the band sounded fantastic. The whole thing sounded like a record, you know, as they were playing. It's those kind of moments that are, as you know, as an engineer and as a producer, they're the things you really live for, where you're, where there's just this moment in time where the chemistry between all the people is working perfectly, and the moment is captured, and there's not too many overdubs. It's all a frozen moment in time, if you like, and the hope, of course, is that that will come through the whole process, and when your listener puts the CD in the CD player, they'll hear that magic as well. And I think that hopefully we've captured that with this record.
I always really got a kick out of watching Sara do her vocals, because she's such a spot-on singer that it's almost like any time she opens her mouth and sings, you could press record and you got a great take that you could just put on the record. And you know, to sit there and just listen to her do that and watch her through the glass, you know, in the vocal booth, putting down a vocal, it's the kind of stuff that sends shivers down your spine. You know, you don't hear a voice that pure and that spot on very often. So anytime you're in a situation where you can just sit down and watch that going down, it's a really inspiring thing.
I think Sara's core fans are really going to love this album, and you know, any kind of music lover will love this record. People who own a Paul Kelly or a Pete Murray record, and you know, from a Claire Bowditch to a Holly Throsby record, you know, great songwriters and storytellers, and I think this, you know, is a really special record that, you know, people should really hear. For me, this is Sara's best record, and one that, you know, she should be very proud of.